Yes, so welcome back again to this tutorial. And in this tutorial, I'm going to explain you one of the most neglected part in the Python that most people don't include in their programming because they believe it is so easy. And indeed, it is so easy that yes, as long as you continue to program with Python, you will come to learn it by default. But I believe I should start everything from scratch to give you an idea of what it is so that you can start using it and be more comfortable with it. It's called commands. Command can be used to explain Python codes. For example, let me say that we have a 1000 line of codes here that we have written or programmed on our compiler or interpreter. So, and our program will work fine, but assume that one day your program has crashed or there's a problem with your code. So if you're going back to the source code to figure out which part of code is this issue coming from, then you will come to know that it will be extremely difficult to locate because the code is just unorganized, or there's no way that you have made it to know that this part and this part is responsible for this certain task. So which means it will consume you more time to figure it out. That's why we use comments to make our code more readable, and we can also use it to prevent execution during testing. We are going to learn all those things I've said just right now, but we are going to begin how we can make our code to be more readable using command. Command is just a line of code that we can write and should not be executed on the screen. Only a person who has access to the source code can see what it is saying because we just use them to explain the Python code. For example, let me say I want to explain the first line of the Python program. I'll just come here, and in order to make a command, you have to use arch. Okay, we have to use arch, and then we have to type our command. I'm going to say the first line is printing an statement on the screen. Just as you have seen here right now, I just put a comment that the first line is printing a statement. Sorry, I just put a statement, but it's printing a statement on the screen. Or yeah, or you can just use whatever word you want to use because it will not be shown on the screen. Now, if I am to run, let me remove this the compile or interpret earlier or the outcome, and let me run it again. You will see it will still just remain the same, the first line and the second line of codes. So let me say that, and I can also make another comment for the second line saying that Perino Garang is learning programming. It's learning programming. You know, it is not important or whatever I just put here, but you can use something very meaningful to is you can use something which is more very meaningful to make the code separatable, and you can make and you can understand them. Or just we can use just a very meaningful statement like this part is responsible, for example, is for printing Perino is learning programming. So you can just use a very meaningful words here so that one day, and if I have to run it again, you will see nothing will change. Our the same code will be here no matter how many space we have given here. It doesn't matter at all. It will still put them, it will still print them as it is. So that's how we can use the command to make our code more readable or to explain our Python code. So here now, if assume that if you have 2000 of lines of code and you have them here separated by writing this, like for example, you can say this part is is responsible to do this specific task. So one day, if there's a problem, you can just come to the code, you can just read the comment above, you can just know this everything under this comment is responsible to perform a specific task. That's what a comment does to to explain Python code. And also, when to prevent execution during testing, what does it mean? Assume that we have two print statement here. Just let me remove those lines here of the comment. I think by now you should have known what a comment does, just to make our code more readable. But assume that if I am to print this statement, it will go and print for me two lines of hello world. So what if I just want to test it, to test the first line of hello world and leave the second line? You may think that if I just only want to print the one line, then I have to delete another line out. Then that's what we can use the comment to prevent execution from testing. So we can prevent that only line that we don't want it to be printed or executed by just using a comment. That's why you can just come here at the beginning of the code of the code and you just put arch. It will comment the line, which means it cannot be executed on the screen. Only a person who have access to the compiler can say, yes, this line has been commented. If I am to run it right now, you will see here, it is going only to print for me the first statement that we did not comment that is available for executions. That's how we can prevent executions during the testing using the command. So if you want to print the second line, you just have to uncomment it. And if you are running it again, it should appear on the screen. I hope by now what a comment does is very clear to you. And please, if you are new to this YouTube channel, please subscribe and like this video and also recommend it to your friends so that they can come and learn Python in this easiest way as you are doing. See you in the next tutorial.